How are you guys?
Good. We'll start in about 3 minutes.
Sounds good.
Okay, let's get started. Good evening and welcome to tonight's public hearing. My name is John Reno. I'm the zoning examiner for the city of Tucson. I conduct rezoning hearings on behalf of the mayor and council and make findings of fact, which I put into a written report along with my recommendation, which I then send along to mayor and council for their consideration and for their final decision. My report will be based on the information submitted to me, which includes the rezoning application, the staff report, all written approvals and protests, all correspondence, and the testimony given at tonight's public hearing. I will also include in the record all documents submitted to me up to the close of the public hearing. A recording of tonight's testimony is being made. If requested, a transcript will be prepared. With that in mind, when I call on you to testify, I would ask that you please speak clearly and begin your testimony by stating your name and your address, and please spell your last name for the transcriptionist's benefit. The process goes like this. First, I complete a preliminary report within 5 working days after the close of the public hearing. Then I prepare a final report. The final report will be issued 2 weeks after the close of tonight's public hearing. For those of you who wish to receive a copy of my preliminary report and are not a listed party in the case, please send an email to tucsonrezoning@tucsonaz.gov. Again, tucsonrezoning@tucsonaz.gov, or call the Planning and Development Services Department. A copy of the final report will be available from the Planning and Development Services Department, and I send the final report along to the mayor and council. At the scheduled public hearing on the case, the mayor and council will then vote on the matter based on my recommendation, along with other factors. Tonight's public hearing will proceed in the following manner. I will open the public hearing and ask Ms. Corin Manning of the Planning and Development Services Department to give a brief presentation at the beginning of each case. After Ms. Manning's presentation, I will then ask the applicant or the applicant's representative to make his or her presentation. I will then ask to hear from anyone else in the audience who wishes to speak. We have 2 cases on for hearing this evening. The first case is case C-15-2101, River Terrace Annexation District, the establishment of original city zoning. Ms. Manning, would you present the case?
Yes, certainly. This is case C-15-2101, the River Terrace Annexation District for the establishment of original city zoning. This is an application by the City of Tucson to establish original city zoning on recently annexed parcels totaling approximately 9.88 acres. The parcels are located on the south side of River Road, approximately a quarter-mile east of Hacienda del Sol Road. The original city zoning is required by the Arizona Revised Statutes, Title 9-471.L, and the Unified Development Code, Section 4.6. Upon translation to original city zoning, a proposal to rezone a portion of the annexation district, as well as a fourth parcel immediately to the west, already within the City of Tucson, to a planned area development will be considered as item 2 on tonight's agenda. The original city zoning request would translate the Pima County Suburban Ranch zone to City of Tucson Suburban Ranch. It would also translate the existing Pima County CR-1 single residence zone to the City of Tucson's RX-1 residence zone. Additionally, the major streets and routes designation would be extended to River Road, which would be designated a scenic arterial with a 150-foot right-of-way and a scenic corridor zone overlay. Staff recommend approval of the proposed original city zoning and major streets and routes designation. To date, we have received 1 approval and 1 protest on this item.
Thank you, Ms. Manning. Would the applicant like to be heard?
Thank you, Mr. Urino. It's Mike Chakowski with the City of Tucson City Manager's Office. That's CZECHOWSKI. Thank you. I have no comments. All of that is accurate translation.
Thank you. Would anyone in the audience like to be heard on this case, case C-15-2101? Hearing no one, I will close the public hearing on case C-15-2101 and proceed to case C-9-2104, River Terrace Planned Area Development. Ms. Manning, do you have further remarks to make on this case?
Yes, I will present this case. This is item 2, C-921-04, the River Terrace Planned Area Development, which is a proposed rezoning from RX-1 and SR to a planned area development, or PAD. This is a request by Linda Morales of the Planning Center on behalf of 4 adjoining property owners to rezone their parcels from RX-1 and SR to PAD zoning. The rezoning site is located approximately a quarter-mile east of the Hacienda del Sol Road and River Road intersection, and the total site area to be rezoned is 7.84 acres. Of these 4 parcels, only 1 of them is within the City of Tucson, while the other 3 parcels are associated with the concurrent original city zoning that was just presented as item 1. The project is proposing to develop a contemporary urban development with urban housing and integrated commercial uses to serve residents and surrounding neighbors while building on the activity found in the St. Philip's Plaza at the intersection of River Road and Campbell to the west. The project is sited on the Chuck Huckleberry Loop regional trail system, which is an integral part of the development. The site is currently zoned RX-1 residential and suburban ranch and has 4 single-family residences. The River Terrace PAD proposes a PAD zoning district based on modified provisions to the OCR1 zone in the Unified Development Code. The PAD district consists of a single comprehensively planned area identified as a village court that blends residential and commercial uses in a contemporary urban setting. The residential portion includes attached or detached single-family residences and multifamily residential with a maximum density of 36 residences per acre. The commercial component will provide neighborhood scale commercial for River Terrace residents, adjacent neighbors, and the loop users. The project may include structured parking as necessary to accommodate the proposed uses and will be integrated into the building design of the future users. PDSD staff find that the request to rezone the site to a pad to create a unique neighborhood that complements the surrounding community and develops a connection to the loop is consistent with Plan Tucson and the Catalina Foothills Subregional Plan. Staff recommend approval of the pad zoning. To date, we have received 1 approval and 1 protest on this item. The reason for the protest was related to the impact of noise and traffic, and that the individual protesting believes that additional retail options are not needed in the area due to the proximity to St. Philip's Plaza.
Thank you, Ms. Manning. Would the applicant like to be heard?
Yes, Mr. Urino, this is Linda Morales with the Planning Center. And I have with me also Brian Underwood, also with the Planning Center. And we have Tom Warren, who is the potential developer of the site. And I believe we may have, is John on the call, John Ash, who is also a partner in the project.
Yes, I am.
Okay, hi, I thought that might be you on there. So I thought I'd just give a brief presentation, and I'd be happy to answer any questions, and the rest of the team is available as well. So if I can go ahead and share my screen. It's like switching back and forth between different platforms. I gotta find the buttons here. All right. You got my PowerPoint, right?
Yep, that's right there.
Okay.
I see it. Thank you.
All right. Well, now I got my cursor on the right screen. We're good. Okay, so this is the general location of the project. It is east of the intersection of River and Hacienda del Sol. It's approximately straight across from Camino Kino. Sits again, as Ms. Manning had said, between the Loop Trail and River Road. So it's a fairly narrow site that sits between those 2 features. It's about 7.68 acres. This is a little closer look at it. This is, as we went over in the annexation hearing, the westernmost parcel was actually annexed in a few years back and zoned conditionally as O2. The remaining 3 parcels are currently in Pima County, so that's the purple line you see that represents the annexation boundary. This is the existing zoning in the area. Again, the translation zoning is, or it shows the existing Pima County zoning on the 2 or the 3 parcels on the east. So we have Pima County SR, we have CR1 with the 2 middle pieces, and then the conditionally zoned O2 zone that was originally SR before we annexed that in and zoned that for office use back in, I believe, 2016, 2017. So this is our preliminary development or site concept plan that is in the PAD. The PAD does call for 1 land use category for the entire site that is a mixed use category. And then this is a representation of a vision that we see for the site. The mixed use allows for a mix, again, of commercial, retail, restaurant use, and multifamily and single family residential. So a range of those uses. But this is, again, the general vision that we put into the PAD. It is the western portion of the site. So the western, basically 2/3, maybe even 3/4, is what we see as a multifamily or single family attached residential housing. We envision this as quite a upscale type of development and a different type of product that you don't normally see in the Tucson region. We feel that the location on the loop is ideal for something that has a little more density, but also has some amenities and can take advantage of that. You walk out your front door, your back door, and you're right on the loop. We have both alley loaded as well as front loaded units, and those are the differentiations between the green and the tan slate tent. We do have a pool amenity that again opens onto that River Park and River Park path. The site is the site sits a little bit higher and looks over the Rito path, which is it's kind of nice that it provides some views across there, and has amazing views of the site of the city from the site. Our primary entrance would be where you see coming in here on the western portion of the site to access these. And then we do have another driveway that comes out, or it would be a right in, but a full out with the configuration of River Road. And that was all based on consultation with Transportation Department of the city, as well as our traffic consultants. We've been working with SOMAS as our traffic consultants. And so what you see here are, again, the multifamily, and then in the corner, this is probably the most unique portion of the site. And I'm going to go back really quick to the aerial. This, again, sitting on the loop, it sits right at where two bridges of the Rito River Park of the Chuck-Huckleberry Loop come together. And it's always been my belief as a planner that the loop is a very underserved amenity that we have. It's a great amenity for bikers and pedestrians, but there's not a ton of opportunities where businesses and retail, restaurant, patio type uses open onto this this river park. So the concept that you see really takes advantage of this great location at the crossing. If you look on the previous plan, we are directly across the river from the Racquet Club, and that pedestrian bridge comes across to our southeast corner. And it also crosses, this is a pretty big drainage channel that comes down and crosses that. So it brings the users of the loop right past or right to that corner. So that's why we developed this plan in the manner that we have. This is our mixed use, vertical mixed use portion of the site. We have a plaza area that again opens onto that river park. This is also a pathway that gets access for people from River Road down to the river park. And then there's, again, this fairly deep wash that sits just to our east of the site. This vertical mixed use has again the opportunity for retail, restaurant, has the ability to put office in, and then we have the upper floors could be structured parking as well as residential units on top. So the total number of units, we have some different options, again, with the flexibility that's built into the PAD document. We have on the western portion, on this primarily residential portion of the site, we have a total of 63 units. If we do those as townhomes, where they would be two-story townhomes with a single residence per each one of these lots. Or we also have written in the provision that if it becomes a multifamily with two separate units within each one of those, we could allow up to 126 units. And then on the southeast corner, we're proposing a total of 54 units. That's how, with going vertical on that and having those in there, and what we could park conceptually in the building, that's what we have shown in this concept. And so again, sorry, got off track there a little bit. So yeah, so again, oh, the height, that's where I was going. So sorry. We have a mix of building heights in here, and we've worked with staff closely to make sure that there's a transition from river, as river is a scenic route, and we are observant of that scenic route and the setbacks and the landscaping that come with that. We also have written into the PAD that we have a 1-to-1 setback, at least with the well, we had discussed a 1-to-1 setback with the building heights. We've actually shown in the pad a map that has the different areas. So this area, that is the area that could potentially become the vertical mixed use, could go up to 65 feet. The remainder of the site we have put as a maximum of 40 feet. Okay. We have, again, a mix of 2, 3, 4 to 3 to 5 story mixed use residential commercial. 6.8 acres. We've got the mix of that. We were going to the planned area development. Again, it's in conformance with the general plan. We do have site and architectural guidelines within the PAD that kind of dictate the standards and the quality that we want to have in this, that's befitting of this area, this really high-end kind of growing area that's developing out and taking advantage of again, that loop and the amenity that's there. We will have water harvesting, we'll have all the borders, all the connections to the River Park Trail. And again, one of the things that we'd heard at some of our preliminary meetings and our neighborhood meetings was, you know, what's the roof going to look like? Because people in the foothills up to the north of the site do kind of look down on the site. So we've taken some sensitivity to that and addressed that in the PAD. And, you know, with that, we did have our neighborhood meeting. We had a handful of attendees at that. We didn't hear any major concerns at that meeting. And so we are here tonight to you know, answer any other questions that you may have and hear what the public has to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Morales. I do have one question before I open it up to other speakers. I saw that the one protest that we've received speaks about, among other issues, speaks about traffic concerns. And I did review the traffic study that the applicant submitted, but I want to make sure I've got this right. My understanding from the traffic study is that the levels of service on River Road will not be adversely affected by this development. Have I read that correctly?
That is correct. And that was actually one of the driving factors as we were developing these concept plans. We worked very closely with our traffic engineer to make sure that we were right sizing this so that we didn't have a negative impact, and that we sited our driveway or our roadway entrance to also coincide with the safest and the best place to put those, and, you know, the proper decel lanes and entrances to that. So yeah, that was definitely a driving factor. We're definitely aware that River Road has a lot of traffic on it, and we don't want to exacerbate any existing problems by adding additional traffic onto there that the road can't handle.
Thank you. Anyone else in the audience like to be heard on this case?
Yes, I would.
All right, well, let's take you one at a time. Whoever said yes first, please go ahead and state your name and your address and spell your last name, and then we'll take the next speaker after you're finished. Thank you. Go right ahead.
Yeah, my name is Dr. Brian Donovan. I live at 4520 North Camino Kino. So that's the street. It's directly across from the western entrance to the proposed development. I'm a little flummoxed by this because seeing the sign when we walked down to the trail one day was the first time I saw this. Where was the public notice that was so sparsely attended, Linda? When was that, and how was the neighbors, how were they notified of this meeting?
So the procedure that we follow with the city of Tucson is that we ordered labels from the planning department, and they are based on assessor's records. It's everyone within 400 feet of the site, correct, Brian? And all neighborhood associations within a mile of the site. So if you were directly across the road, you should have been on the distribution list. We did that within.
Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was going to say, timing wise, we had that meeting on, I believe it was February 25th, if I had the right date. We did that mailing earlier in February. We try to give everybody a couple weeks of notice before that. It was a Zoom meeting as well, again, because of the pandemic. And so that was held on that evening, I believe, on the 25th.
Okay, yeah, because, you know, we have a kind of a loose organization here and are part of the foothills. So, you know, we received no notice, and I obviously would have been interested. Yeah, I'm an architect and a physician, so I kind of know facilities. So first of all, I was wondering, what is the vacancy rate of the businesses down at St. Philip's Plaza, which my wife and I go down there, you know, frequently, but it's rather sad because there's so many businesses that are kind of left down there and seem kind of poorly attended. And there's plenty of vacant space. Having just started my own medical practice, that it doesn't seem like we need more businesses, business spaces. So where's the input from that? Where are you getting the interest from the business community to build more business space?
Dr. Donovan, this is John Urino again. The format of these hearings really is for you or any interested party to testify and present concerns you may have or support you may have for the proposed development. At the end of those remarks, I will turn the floor back to Ms. Morales and the applicant to choose to respond to whatever remarks have been made. It's with due respect, it's not meant to be a back and forth Q&A. I don't say that in any way to stifle what you want to tell us. So I hear what you're saying about vacancy rates. You're concerned about whether there will be demand or need for the development. But I'll turn it back to you now, and please share with us any other perspectives you'd like to share.
Well, my concern would be obviously that I would be somebody who would be protesting. First of all, protest that I never got any notice as a neighbor, certainly within a mile, that never got any notice official to come to a meeting, Zoom or otherwise. I think it's going to negatively impact my property value. When I read about the PAD, which I'm not that familiar with, but we get no notice of who's going to support the mixed income people that are going to live there. So if there's a low income person coming in, that tends to be the trend these days when people move into, or they build these housing projects in cities like Tucson or Cincinnati, where I'm from. There's always the push to put low income housing in there that's supported. So who's going to support the low income people who are in this high end project? Where's that money coming from?
Okay, is there anything else you're concerned about?
Yeah, I just the traffic and basically my decreased home value, having more and more traffic along a street that we see accidents probably every 2 weeks that I can't believe that somebody wasn't killed at. So yes, so even just crossing the street is an adventure from our neighborhood to go down to the trail. So yeah, so I put me in the protest category, and more importantly that seems that we really weren't informed of this project until right to the final decision is being made, which is unfortunate. So yeah, I'll listen to the rest of the presentation, and if there's an open format for more questions, happy to add any other questions I have.
Thank you, Dr. Donovan. Appreciate your comments. Would anyone else in the audience like to be heard?
Yes. Hi, my name is Jeff Rittelsoff. I'm with my wife, Maria. And Dr. Donovan's beautiful home is at the top of the end of the street. We live on the corner. When we walk out our front door, we will directly see your development. Your development is almost in our front yard. So naturally, we wonder how this benefits us. I don't actually see any reason to think that this benefits us in any way. We bought here because we have a nice, peaceful house. We were very fortunate to get this home. And guess what? What are we going to get now? A shopping mall. So besides the fact that I think that it's going to damage our property value and damage our view of that area and change the entire view and culture of what we bought into, I have very serious doubts about your studies of the traffic. You cannot tell me that adding 100 plus businesses, additional residences, and all the other things that are going to go into that, not to mention the construction process that's going to go in there and take all the trucks and machinery and whatnot, and that's going to be very, very difficult for our lives for a considerable period of time. You cannot tell me that your studies have taken all that into consideration and you're not going to alter the traffic pattern significantly. I find that actually quite insulting that you actually propose that that's a truthful statement. So I admire your presentation. I think your presentation is excellent. I just think that it doesn't belong there. It does not belong in this location. That location should be what it is. It should be residential. I say it should be improved as residential perhaps, but nonetheless, the character of it should be what it is now. It should not be a shopping mall. And I think I'm finished. My wife may have her own thoughts. I don't know. I just got home from work. But that's my thought on this.
Before we speak to your spouse, for the record, I need you to again state your name and your address, just because I didn't catch it, and I know the transcriptionist won't have caught it. So would you please go ahead with your name and address, sir, and then turn it over to your spouse?
Sure, and thank you for the time.
Sure.
My name is Jeffrey Ritzelsoff, and we live at 4290 North Camino Kino.
And if you don't mind, my last name is Urino, and I can't spell it right. So could you spell your name for the person who has to type this up?
Sure, it's Richelsopph.
Thank you very much, sir, and we appreciate your participation. Did
Thank you.
Ms. Rickelsoff, I'm not going to say the name. Would you like to add some comments, please? If you'd like to, please go right ahead.
Hi, how are you? My name is Maria Richelsoff. I agree with Jeff and with Dr. Donovan in the concerns. Unfortunately, we don't have more presence of our neighbor house, so I don't know what is going on. The exit, until I understand of the development, is going to be across our street. It's going to damage terrible the traffic, the coming in and coming out of our place. In addition of all the things that Jeff already mentioned. So I don't find any advances for our property value or personal life in this development at all.
Thank you very much for participating. Would anyone else in the audience like to speak? Yes, sir. Please go ahead and start with your name and your address.
Hi, my name is Aaron Haynes. I live at 4430 North Camino Kino.
Thank you. Go right ahead.
Well, I think I just have the same concern that the doctor had. He's my neighbor. He lives just 2 houses up from me or something. And, you know, I hadn't heard a single thing about this development at all. Like, I never had any kind of notification. Nothing showed up in the mail. As far as I knew, I had no idea that this was happening. And so, I don't know. I think it's a little, it certainly comes off as a little less than irresponsible to not notify any of us that are on Camino Kino. I tend to agree with what I've heard so far, in that, you know, that's a very fast, aggressive road these days. I mean, when I first moved here 25 years ago, that was a little 2-lane road. And it was just this bumpy little 2-lane road. And now it's 2 on both sides, islands in the middle. People fly up and down that road all day long. You know, I have kids and stuff, and I have concerns about them, you know, pulling out onto that road as it is. You know, I don't really have any clue as to what the details of your development is, like if it's going to be a shopping mall or if it's a combination of condominiums or what. You know, I would just hope that it's something that is, you know, going to actually benefit the community, not just, you know, people's pocketbooks, I guess, you know. In any case, you know, like I said, I just wanted to make it known that, you know, we weren't informed at all, and we have no idea about this project until I literally got a text with the phone number 10 minutes ago. And that's the first I've heard of this.
Okay, well, that was Mr. Haynes, is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Haynes. We appreciate your participation. Would anyone
Sure.
else in the audience like to be heard?
Actually, I do.
Okay,
I'm Fariba
please go ahead.
Donovan.
All right.
My husband already talked about this. We live obviously in the same street, Camino Kino. And my concern is that, you know, we always get stuck with already pre-planned projects, and they tell us that this is this and that. In the neighborhood I used to live in Cincinnati, there was a beautiful golf course, and the developers had the same glorious idea. And you know what happened? At the end of the day, it became a big area of just weeds and untouched trees and a fire hazard. So I hate to say that, we have seen it all over in the past, and we will see it again. The reason that we moved here is because of the peaceful nature that this environment gives us. Please don't touch it. There are plenty of spaces. If you want to develop a shopping center, why don't you go to Tucson Mall and see how many spaces are open there? Develop that. You know, there are a lot of spaces right now that are waiting for your money to come in and get developed. So don't touch the nature and the perfect land that we have. We don't have too many of those anymore, unfortunately, because of the greed that all these developers have. And I'm sorry that I'm just very plain talking about this, but I've seen it many, many times. Every time these things come in, the natural picture of the land that everybody was in love with goes away. And to Linda, I wanted to tell you, every other day, every 2 days, once a week, I try to walk on that loop. If you want to really do something about all these bicyclists that ride so fast that every once in a while I feel like I'm taking my life in my hand when I go and just want to enjoy the nature and walk. You know, there are plenty of work to do. There are plenty of spaces to clean up and plenty of areas to develop. So don't touch the beautiful nature we have when you have other areas to develop. Jeff said this is not the right place for this, and I agree with him 100%. You're talking about a 6-story building there when all those 1-story buildings are empty? Are you kidding me? And on the other hand, I'm really unhappy about not being informed, and you just tell us you did. Where is that information? Where is the mail? Do you have a piece of paper that came to our house and we didn't see it? Don't give us those wrong information, please. We are human beings. We all can think about these things, and we don't take everything on the face value. Unfortunately, this is a time that you have to go through all this information in detail. I am totally against this project. I have seen it many, many times, and all it does, developers come and destroy the beautiful land we have and just go away. And as long as their pocket is filled, that's all they care about. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Donovan. Would anyone else in the audience like to be heard? Hearing no one, Ms. Morales, would you like to say anything further?
Sure. I thought I would address some of the concerns that were brought up related to the actual planning proposal, and then I'd like to kick it over to Tom Warren to talk more about the uses and the questions about the market, since that is his area of expertise. So just looking at my notes that I had, there were several comments between a couple of the different speakers that referenced a shopping mall. This is absolutely not anything like a shopping mall. What we are looking at again is a fairly modest amount of retail and restaurant use. Again, something that's a little niche kind of a development, that's a neighborhood level commercial, not anything like a big box, not anything that's a giant retailer. It's things that will serve the area, that's walkable type of approachable commercial use. As far as the traffic study, again, we employed one of the very best traffic engineers in Tucson with SOMAS, and again, worked very closely with them and designed the project in consultation with them. Yes, River Road is a very, very heavily traveled road. It's a scenic, it's an arterial route that carries a lot of traffic, and that's exactly the reason why this development makes sense here, that it's no longer a sleepy kind of single family residential area. I know there are residential areas to the north of there that are larger lots, but this particular piece, as you've seen, you've got next door, the original, again, this western parcel, and I think a couple of people maybe came in late to the presentation. The westernmost parcel was already zoned for office use. So it was already anticipated that it would not no longer be single family residential. Next to that is the Islamic school. Further west of that is the assisted living, the brand new facility that came in there, which has many people living there. And then you get onto the offices, you get to the 3-story and 2- and 3-story condos, and St. Philip's Plaza on further west of there. So this isn't intended to be anything directly competing with something like St. Philip's Plaza. It's again a modest portion of the site that we're proposing for the retail commercial type of uses. The majority of this would be for residences. And again, traffic analysis has been driving this all along. We've been, it's a publicly available document if any of you would like to review it. Dr. Donovan and Mr. Haynes, we looked you up on the map, and you are outside of that 400 feet notice area. You're actually about 2,700 feet, I think, is as the crow flies away from there. So it was absolutely noticed properly. Again, we got the labels from the city of Tucson, and that's why you weren't made aware of that of the meeting. So I'm glad you're here tonight, and I'm glad you had a chance to hear what we're proposing, but that is absolutely why. So it was properly noticed. Again, I think I'm going to go ahead. There were some comments about the destruction of nature. These sites, all 4 of these sites have homes on them already. They have been pretty heavily disturbed over the years from people living there. This is not pristine desert, and this would absolutely be a redevelopment plan of some existing lower density residential uses. And with that, I will go ahead and, unless there was something, Mr. Ureno, that planning wise that I've forgotten to address, I would like to have Tom Warren talk about the market.
Thank you. Mr. Warren?
Yes, thank you, and thank you for the time. I wholeheartedly agree with the doctor's comments about the retail. If it would be market driven, and I've developed retail in different parts of the city, and the retail that's right outside of the main gate of the University of Arizona, which is obviously a very unique market. And the retail that's envisioned and maximum would be 12,000 feet. So that's roughly that's less square footage than a CVS, or just to put it in perspective. But it wouldn't be just one retailer, it would be just a few. And I don't expect it with the environment of retail and what I call the Amazon effect. I do not expect at all that would even be absorbed. The idea, and with the city planners when we spoke and worked together, was to also service people off the loop. As you saw on that plan, the steps went down towards the loop. So if you're on a bicycle, you're walking, you're jogging, whatever, you can get up, you can fill your water bottle, you can get a coffee and sit and relax in an open area and look back towards the city over to the south, over the river. It would be that type of thing. And also the people that would live there could walk over on the site, as the master plan showed, and get a cup of coffee or a sandwich. So it'd be very limited retail. And I couldn't agree more
basically with the comments that the doctor made relative to the retail and relative to St. Philip's Plaza, and also across the street. So it'd be almost like cottage retail, that people that would come off the loop on the weekends wouldn't be that much business during the week off the loop, but they could walk up, and also the people that actually live there. So I just wanted to make that clear. There no type of shopping mall or massive retail would be envisioned at all. And it would be totally inappropriate, number one. And as the doctor stated, it would not be needed. It's not necessary. It wouldn't be in demand. So I'd like to.
Okay.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Mr. Warren. Just for the record, I need you to spell your last name and give us your address.
Excuse me. Apologize for that.
No,
Zoning
quite all right.
The name is Tom Warren, W-A-R-N-E. And my address is 70 West Cushing Street, Tucson, Arizona, 85701.
Thank you very much. Ms. Morales, do you have anything further? You need to unmute and tell me that.
Sorry about that. No, I do not have anything else to add unless there's any questions you may have of me.
No, I have no further questions, and I want to thank everyone for participating. And I'm closing.
I have one more question.
I hope everyone has a lovely evening. I'm sorry, Dr. Donovan, do you want to say something?
Yeah. Yes, I do. I am a registered architect in the state of Ohio, and I've practiced, got my license in 1988. So it's absolutely untrue that anyone would have a view of downtown from that site. It's not possible unless you're in the 6-story building. So what you're saying, Linda, is absolutely untrue.
Thank you
because
for your
we
comment.
go down there all the
Excuse
time.
me,
You
sir?
can't see the city from there.
Excuse me, sir. This is not a debating. This is not a debating exercise. We don't need to call other people's veracity into question here. I've
No,
lived
it's not. I'm not calling her veracity.
Dr. Donovan,
Sir,
I'm
it's
speaking.
just not possible.
I'm
It's not
sorry.
possible.
I'm
She's
sorry,
claiming
sir.
something that's not true. Now you can say whatever it's like, but I've done this for a living. I've done it since 1975. It's not true. People will look at the other people's backyard. Some people will have a decent enough view of the trail. No one will have a view of downtown. No one will have, the only thing you'll have a view of is the Racket Club and the other small little industrial sites that are across the Rito. That's all you'll have. So you sell things that are not true, and we'll end up holding a bag when the development fails. It'll be a failure that the city will be left with. That's the problem. That's been my experience working with developers. That's why I gave up architecture. That's why I became a physician, to take care of individual people, because politicians, developers, planners, they all overstate their projects, overstate the benefit of the community. And what they end up doing is leaving the citizens of the various cities that they're at and communities left holding the bag. That's why people have left Cincinnati and Cleveland and Memphis and Dallas, and they come to places like this from Sacramento, because the citizens there are tired of being told fibs, lies, grandiose plans that never happen. That's just my experience as a 65-year-old fellow. There are 2 people in this country who are physicians and architects, registered architects. I'm one of those 2 people. Okay. And what I'm saying is absolutely true. I'm not saying anybody is false. Okay. I'm not accusing anybody of being a liar, but I'm accusing people of overstating this plan and what it means. And no one answered my question about who's going to subsidize the low-income housing people that are going to be put in there. No one's answered that question, because that's how these plans get approved by cities. And this is how citizens get liked. And this is how people like me say, okay, it's time to move on to some other place, and that's rather sad, because we do love this area. We love living here, but we hate being sort of sold a bill of goods. And that's essentially my take on it. So thank you for allowing me the soapbox. But remember, sir, you are a public servant. And if you work for the city of Tucson or Pima County, you work for the public. I don't work for you. You work for me. Okay. I pay taxes. We pay a lot of taxes. Jeff and Aaron down the street, they pay a lot of taxes. And I'm sorry I'm outside the zone, but you said, ma'am, that our housing association, as loose as it is, would get a notification. Never got that. So again, that is, you know, it directly bears on my life, my safety, the value of my property and my neighbor's property. And I just wanted to state my case. So I appreciate everybody's time. And I hope the Planning Commission will vote no on this project and leave these houses. Maybe they can put nicer houses like the ones we have. Maybe a good developer, a good architect will come in and build a nice single family home on this property, or redevelop the nice adobe houses that may be there. Thanks so much, and I appreciate everybody's time.
I want to thank everyone for participating tonight. I'm closing the public hearing. I hope you all have a lovely and safe evening. Good night. Thank you.
Good night. Thank you, Mr. Reno.
One question,
Good night.
what is the next step of the project? So what are we going to hear from the city, from the developer? It's over.
You can track this project on the city website, City of Tucson Planning and Development Services. If you go to that website and look on the zoning examiner page, you can find the zoning examiner's reports 1 week from tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey guys, I
Bye,
think
Brian.
this is a foregone conclusion.
Oh, no
You know,
shit.
unfortunately, this is how the way this works. And I feel truly bad. I feel bad for you guys, but I feel bad for all of us because this is something I've dealt with my entire professional life. And it's very upsetting for me because it's like, boy, you know, Einstein's definition of insanity, keep doing the same thing over and over and expect a different result, you know? So, but that's the way it goes. But I don't know. Well, you know, maybe
I think
we
it's
had some
foregone too.
input. Yeah. Well, you know, money talks. Well, no, well, this is just being us, but you know, it's okay. It's a free country. I'm allowed to speak my friend was saying the recording us, so she's from Iran. You know,
Yes,
where
they are.
record
You've been
everything.
immortalized.
Yeah. Hey, but hey, Jeff,
Okay.
you did great. I was really impressed with what you had to say. So.
Oh, I'm glad it didn't stumble because I literally just got home, you know. I didn't have time to
Yeah.
prepare anything. But thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you
Appreciate
so
that.
No. Yeah. Well, anything we can do. I mean, I said it. Just. I mean, they have to sell this thing. That's the other part of it. It's a good market here for housing, but I don't think it's that good. So we shall see. So.
We'll track it.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, great
I'm
seeing you
glad they
guys.
didn't let them shut you down. So good for you.
Yeah.
He wanted to shut
Yeah.
you down.
Huh?
Good thing that you
Oh, it's
spoke your
amazing.
mind.
Yeah, he wanted to shut you down and you wouldn't let him. So I admire that.
Well, you know, like I said, I've done a little politicking in my time too, and unfortunately, like I said, I know how these guys operate, you know, and they don't like to hear somebody say no to them. But it's absolutely true, and you know, you guys don't have a view of the city. You got a nice view, but it's not of the city.
No.
And you know, so I just don't like to be people telling things that aren't true. That's just not true, you know, and. You know, Jeff, I've worked with these guys that took millions of dollars from the federal government to make people's housing projects in Cincinnati better, poor people. And all they did was line their own pockets. And they ended up with a new toilet, a new sink in their apartment. And it was the same old S, you know. And the developers walked off with $20 million. And the low income housing people got nothing, you know. And it just fries my rear end that it keeps doing the same thing over again. So, but anyway, I'll let you guys get some dinner. Reba's making us something. So maybe we'll have to get
I'll bet
together
it's
for
good.
dinner at the new restaurant across the way, you know.
Yeah, no shit. We'll have dinner and drinks at the new Abomination across the street.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, I was going to say there's a coffee shop down at the other place that's not really doing that well. It's a nice little coffee shop, so it's not like people will stop and get coffee there when there's another place a half mile down the road, you know. But you know, I gotta say it. I think ultimately if they're like, well, we can't put retail in, and this is what they do too. We can't find anybody to do retail, so we'll just make it all housing. That's what they'll do, and they'll stack things together, and you know, so it's not going to be good for crime. And again, they didn't address that. Who's going to be paying for the people that get subsidized in there? And it's the federal government. It's you and me. But you know, that brings a different element of people and an upscale, and that doesn't work either. I don't quite understand that. You know, I'm happy to provide housing for people, but I think that isn't always the best way to do it. But anyway, so we'll let you guys go, and good seeing you. Yeah, we'll call you
All
for
right,
dinner
we'll
one
see you
of
at the
these days,
shopping
okay?
mall.
No, we should
Yeah,
before the shopping mall. We have to
I
plan
struck a nerve with that little
to
comment.
plan here.
Oh, you
so-
sure? Well, you know, you're
I
absolutely,
didn't hear.
Jeff, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right, because it'll have shopping mall level traffic. If you ever, you know, you drive along nearby river by those condos, you come home at Friday in the evening at 5 o'clock. You're like dodging cars. It's like Dodge car at the amusement park.
Yeah.
Cars pull out of there and they get in that middle lane to merge in and stuff, and they're the tail of the cars in the eastbound lane and stuff. It's dangerous, and literally there's an accident on Hacienda and there once a week. So that'll mean every 3 days there'll be an accident at the bottom of the street here. So, you know, but again, we'll be the ones left holding the bag when the property values drop. That's the problem. So anyway, we'll see you guys. We gotta get something to eat. Hang in there.
All right. All
Okay.
right. Have a good night.
Talk to you
Good
later.
night.
Regards
Bye,
of
Maria.
Pariba.
Bye to
Yeah,
Pariba.
we will. Bye.
Okay. Bye.